let's explore geometric series. Geometric series is the expression for the sum of the terms of a geometric sequence. So the equation for the finite geometric series is S sub n, so the series equals our first term times by 1 minus our ratio to the number of terms divided by 1 minus our ratio. So in this problem, let's identify our first term. So our first term is negative 45. Our ratio, meaning what are we multiplying each one by, which in this case we're multiplying by a negative 3. And our number of terms would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms. Let's look at the formula. What's the first term? So our first term is 1/2. Our common ratio is a negative 2. And it's a negative 2 because if this is a negative, now it's a positive, so negative 2. And our number of terms is 8. So let's evaluate the series. So what that means is if this is our series, we want to do 3 plus 6 plus 12 plus 24 and add those all together. So if we just took our calculator and add them together, we're going to equal 3,069. Let's just check it with our formula. So the series equals our first term is 3 times by 1 minus our ratio is we're multiplying each one by 2, and our number of terms 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 divided by 1 minus our ratio. So 1 minus 2 to the 10th power is 19,683 divided by negative 1. Oh, I'm sorry. This is 1,024. So then 1 minus 1,024 is negative 1,023 divided by negative 1, which equals, if we multiply that by 3, negative 3,069. So when we multiply this out, we get positive 3,069. So those match up. So let's evaluate the series for this one. Our first term is 4. Our ratio is we're multiplying by 3. And our number of terms is 9. So 1 minus 3. So 3 to the 9th power is 19,683. 1 minus 3 is a negative 2. So 1 minus 19,683 is a negative 19,682. Multiply that by 4, negative 78,728. And divide by negative 2. The sum of the series is 39,364. In March, the Thomas family starts saving for a vacation in August. They start with 125, so this is our first term. Each month they plan to deposit 20%. So that means they are increasing by 1.2 each month. How much will they have in August? So if they start in August and they're going to August, that's 12 months. So that's the number of terms. So let's figure out how much they will have. So we want to find the series. Our first term is 125. Our ratio is 1.20, and we're looking at the number of terms of 12. Alright, so let's start solving this out. So if we do 1 2/10 to the 12th power, we're going to end up with 8 minus 2/10, or negative 2/10. So when we subtract, negative 7 divided by negative 2/10. So when we multiply the negative 125, we get $989, or sorry, 989 and 513 thousandths. So then when we divide, we ended up with a positive $4,947.56. So in 1 year, that's how much they would have. Alright, so let's look at converging and diverging. So converging is when our ratio is less than 1, and we diverge when it's greater than 1. So this is for the infinite. So first we want to decide whether it's infinite, if the infinite series converges or diverges. So right now, we're multiplying each by 2. So it means our ratio is 2, which is greater than 1. So this diverges. So that means there's no sum. So in this problem, our ratio is we're multiplying each number by 1/3. So since 1/3 is less than 1, we know it converges. So to find our series, we use this when our first term is negative 54, and we're dividing by 1 minus our ratio, which is 1/3. So that equals, so negative 54 divided by 2/3. So the sum of that infinite series is 81. So let's look at this one. Our ratio is 2/3. So it's going to converge. So the sum, our first term, if I plug in 1, so 2/3 to the first power is 2/3, divided by 1 minus 2/3. So 2/3 divided by 1/3. Our infinite series will converge to equal 2. So here our ratio is 2, which is larger than 1. So it's going to converge. It's going to diverge. So there's no sum. Alright, so let's evaluate the infinite series. So our first term is 1 1/10 minus our ratio is 1/10. So if we solve that, 1 1/10 would be divided by 9/10. So the sum is 1 2/10. This one, our ratio is we are multiplying each by 2/3, so this still converges. So our first term is 3, and 1 minus 2/3. So the sum is 3, 1 minus 2/3 is 1/3. So they will, infinite series will add together to be 9.